Welcome back. My guest today is Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria, President of the Treasury Board. Before we went to break, we were discussing the government's priorities for the economy. Now, Minister, there's much talk about creating an electric car centre of excellence in Ontario. How are you going to ensure participation from the small to medium-sized business so those subsidies don't get eaten up by large corporations and not include the SMEs? We want to make sure that all the small to medium-sized business are included in this great priority.
No, that's a great point, Jocelyn. And one of the things that we really want to focus in on is that, Ontario's electric vehicle system, ecosystem, as well as the existing ecosystem that assembles much of what we see, in the auto manufacturing sector is strong and mostly supported by small businesses across Ontario. When we look at it, for an example, there are over 700 parts firms in Ontario. There's over 500 tool and die mold makers, and those jobs support over 100,000 Ontario families just reliant on that auto manufacturing sector. So we're absolutely going to make sure that as these, historic investments are made in Ontario to shore up production of electric vehicles over the next 10 years, and actually more than that, because we're seeing the next generation of vehicles being built right here in Ontario, whether it be at GM, whether it be at Ford, whether it be at Honda. We're going to make sure that the supply chain to support that is going to be very critical to our plan to ensuring that those 100,000 people that rely on those jobs are protected and get the support they need. So those are well-paying jobs in Ontario that is important to continue building on. You look at 2018, we lost over 300,000 manufacturing jobs before the previous government. We're aggressively changing that by bringing in more pro-business policies and getting workers back to work.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to bring manufacturing back and keep it here in Ontario. And you touched upon something that I'm hearing from almost every manufacturer, and that's supply chain issues. We see manufacturing lines that are shut down because they can't get parts to keep them going. What are your thoughts on this issue and how it affects Canadian industry, and what can you do to improve this?
Well, I think one of the main focuses I think we need to do on the supply chain is, there's going to be geopolitical issues that impact supply chains. We know that, we recognize there's sometimes very little that we can do about that. But I think the biggest thing we can do on the supply chain is issue is shore up domestic production. I can give you a quick example of on the PPE side. When the pandemic hit, we were, literally at the behest of foreign countries to receive shipments of critical PPE supplies, whether it be masks, gloves, sanitizer. But we put together a Ontario Together Fund in which now Ontario will be in a position where 90+% of our PPE is procured domestically and is made in Ontario. So when we look at the broader supply chain issues, there are significant, international factors that will impact it. But I think there's nothing more important that we can do than to really make sure that we have a domestic focus on supply chain. So whether it be auto manufacturing, whether it be manufacturing in general, whether it be in the EV industry, having a strong domestic production is, I think, the key to success and a key to making sure that we stay strong as an economy and we're able to support not only Ontario jobs, well-paying Ontario jobs, but also serve it as an example for the rest of North America and the world to rely on.
Yeah, it's not just a jobs and prosperity, but it's also a security issue. So happy to see going in that area. You touched upon something about supply chains, and I know that a lot of Ontario manufacturers are dealing with the Buy America. And at the minute that we have left, can you talk to us about what the Ontario government is doing to help our manufacturers deal with that issue?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the key reasons why Minister Fedeli and Premier Ford have gone to the U.S. multiple times. In 2021, Minister Fedeli raised Ontario's concerns about this fairly across all of in the U.S. and really try to drill down on what the actual relationship between both Ontario and the U.S. relies on. We're one of their largest trading partners, so doubling down on protectionist policy is probably not the best solution to having a strong ecosystem between North America. So Minister Fedeli and our government will continue to advocate for small businesses in Ontario and highlight the economic advantages of free trade and working together.
It really is an integrated North American economy, and we need to view it as such. But we have to take a quick break. We have to go to commercial. When we get back, we're going to talk more. You're watching Canadian Innovators. Don't go away.